Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to the wonderful P-Flag extravaganza. Thank you all for being here today. Let's have a hand. This is great. My name is Dan Wagner, and this is Regina Burnett. We're the co-chairs of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Advisory Council for DuPage County. How many members of the Advisory Council that are here, please stand. Wow. Woo! Good job. Thank you, guys. Where is Mike Bernard? Mike Bernard, this is like your place you run. Mike Bernard, do you want to say a word or two?
Oh, just on behalf of the Wheaton Park District and the DuPage County Historical Museum Foundation, welcome to your museum. We're so proud and honored to have this special event take place here today. Yeah, enjoy. The only thing we wish is that this auditorium were twice the size so we could put twice the number of people in. But it's a beautiful space, and we're very pleased that you've chosen to join us today for this very, very important event. Thanks.
Well, and one of the things that we all learned that we going down this path that are part of this committee, the Dr. Martin Luther King Project in DuPage, is that Dr. King believed in a beloved community where everybody is equal to one another, and that's obviously our goal in DuPage County to be able to work towards. If I don't introduce this next person, I'm going to get in trouble at home. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce the most beautiful girl in the entire world, my daughter, Annie Wagner. There you go. We love you. So real quickly, I got to give a plug for a guy who's in heaven. His name is Dan Goodwin. He's my second dad. He's the chairman and CEO of the Inland Real Estate Group. He's the guy that got this concept of let's bring everybody together in DuPage County and let's create this Dr. King project. I think a variety of you have heard that before, but I wanted to highlight to you that this building, when you come in, there's a plaque with his name on it because this building was going to collapse with the roof. It didn't have funding from the state that it was supposed to. And Mike Bernard was able to contact Mr. Goodwin and Dan Cronin, and they said, Mr. Goodwin, can you help? And so Mr. Goodwin, boom, wrote a check for $200,000 to put a new roof on the building. And it's wonderful that in his memory, one of the other things that we're doing here too. So my fellow inlanders, obviously, they all feel the same way as I do about Mr. Goodwin. So. But tonight is a special, wonderful night with the P-Flag. I love Jory Hume. You've done a great job. Where's Jory? Jory, let's have a hand for her and the hard work she's done. This is like the most, how many agree that know this? She's the most organized person I ever met in my life. Is there? Oh my God. Everything is just, it couldn't be better, so thank you. We're able to be here tonight because obviously of her organization ability and because of the Illinois Department of Human Rights is paying for this space, paying for this food, and the speaker is going to be talking to us a little bit later is none other than the director is Jim Bennett. So Jim, thank you for providing this opportunity for us and for you to come out here tonight. Thank you. I have to talk one other quick second. So all of you should know that I became familiar with the LGBTQ universe because of Jim Bennett. And Jim was the president, was going to run for the president of the residence halls at Illinois State University. And he asked me to be his Dan Quayle. I was his vice president, and I didn't know what I was doing. But Jim taught me the whole way through. And clearly it impacted and changed my life. And then obviously in the LGBT world, Q world, you were able to come out to me. And that's when my brother says to me, this is who I am. And at that moment I could say yes or no. And obviously it was a big yes because he's my brother and I love him dearly. So I'm so excited to have him be able to speak. And you know, Jim, how much you mean to me. So thank you so much for being here. And then I'm going to stop talking. The person who really makes this Dr. Martin Luther King project in DuPage County real, I call her the center board of everything that we do, who is not only talk the talk, she has walked the walk. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you the co-chair of the Dr. Martin Luther King Project of DuPage County is Regina Brett. Regina, get up here.
Good evening, everyone. This is a somewhat heartwarming event for me tonight. I woke up this morning feeling the presence of my sister, who was lesbian throughout her life when it wasn't popular back in the day. She never knew what a closet was. And so this morning, I woke up thanking God for having her in my life, for being able to be a representative for her tonight. Jury, you made that possible. Jim, thank you so much. This is what Dr. King was really and truly all about. Not some of the people or a few people, but all of the people. No matter who you loved or any of that. He wanted civil rights, human rights, and voters' rights, especially for women. And so tonight, it's an honor and a privilege to be here before you. I see a lot of familiar faces in the room, and people say, thank you for inviting us. Well, thank you for coming, because without you, this could not be possible at all. So give yourselves a warm applause. Well, my position with this event, or any other events, or even the project, the Unity Project, is to make sure that I utilize the spaces and places that I've been in for the past, I would say, 15 years of meeting iconic people who worked with Dr. King, who shared his space, who knew his plight, who put their lives on the line before it was ever popular to register Black people. And so the first year we had Bob Zellner. Those of you who came to the first breakfast, raise your hand. All right. Who came to the second breakfast? Good. So you already know that we had Bob Zellner the first year. We had Fred Gray, Rosa Parks' attorney and Dr. King's attorney just this year. And in 2026, I am proud and very pleased to announce to you that we will have a lady by the name of Dorothy Counts, who, as a young girl, integrating the high schools back in 1955. She was brave, just like you are today, but in trying times, as if we're not living in trying times today, right? But more threatening at those times. Dorothy Counts was one of the 4 families that was chosen to integrate a high school in North Carolina. And she was escorted by her minister and her father to the high school. Well, as the father was going to park the car, they were told that the National Guards would protect her as she entered the doorways of the school. But by the time she got from the car to the doorways, Dorothy Counts' dress was drenched with spit. And they had been injured with rocks and flying debris. And the National Guards just stood back and watched. And so she's now 84 years old, and she will be our keynote speaker for 2026 at Drury Lane. So let's give her a round of applause. And while so many of you enjoyed Reverend Brooks and his entertainment for the last 2 years, of course, us being lucky enough to get a woman to be the keynote speaker this year, we also have a female entertainer who is very well known. Pastor Shannon can tell you. Mrs. Lemmy Battles, very well known gospel singer from all over, will be our entertainer. She will be our gospel singer for the year. So get your tickets ready, get your money ready. We look forward to seeing you, and always remember, without you, we would not exist. And I'm sure Dr. King's family appreciates it, as well as the African American community. Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to highlight is that one of our next events for the Dr. King DuPage County project is going to be at Cantini. The McCormick Foundation loves what we're doing, and every year they host us for a party. So they're going to invite all of us and your significant other to come November 19th to their holiday bash that they do. And we're going to go to the mansion, and they're going to have lots of wonderful things for us to eat and drink. And it's of no cost to anybody. They want to make sure to say thank you for trying to make a beloved community, so which is really great. Someone walked in, Frank Williams, who came here. I just want to let you guys know, civil rights leader who had his house firebombed because he dared to let black people move in where white people are. So God bless you, Frank, for all of your help. And another civil rights person, Pastor Shannon, who was baptized by Dr. King, and Rosa Parks' husband, who used to cut his hair. He has incredible stories to tell. But I did also, a few friends of Frank Williams too. I also wanted to highlight to you, and I was remiss before, the other reason why we can exist the way we do is because of this incredible organization called the DuPage Foundation. And the DuPage Foundation is our 501c3. That's where all of our money goes through them, and that's what has been incredible. And so Mr. Goodwin, he created that fund, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Fund of DuPage Foundation. And he created that, and he wanted to make sure that it was going to be the best top-level organization that's going to be in charge of the money. And he said, Dan Wagner, you are not going to be the one to give out money. And the people that give out the money, and if you want to get money, I think you guys have given away, how much so far, Barb? This past year we gave $45,000 out. But if you're looking to apply for the Martin Luther King grant, talk to Barb. And also the foundation has $175 million of endowments. So if you want to have needs for any other thing, just talk to Barb. So Barb, there you go. Only $175 million, Barb.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I think I hit everything. I told everybody I love you, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. So, without any further ado, we're going to get this party started. And obviously, Dr. King was a minister, and we're very blessed to have Pastor Jill Terpstra from the First Church of Lombard is going to kick us off with an opening prayer. So, could we have Pastor? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jill Terpstra, and as I was introduced, I am the pastor of the First Church of Lombard, United Church of Christ in Lombard, and we do host and organize the annual Lombard Pride Fest, and it's a pleasure to be with you here today. So I invite you now to be in a spirit of prayer or connection with whatever source brings you hope. Holy One, we come together today as a diverse community, working to further Dr. King's legacy of equality, justice, and unity. Today, we especially lift up the LGBTQ community and the contributions that they make to our lives and the community. We thank you for their witness of bravery in living their truth and the demonstration of various ways to love that are shown through their lives. Whether closeted, out, or somewhere in between, we pray for those who don't feel safe, be it in their families, their workplace, in school, or in the community. May all of us work together to create safe spaces where all people feel valued, wanted, and loved. We recognize and denounce the discrimination in housing, employment, education, and healthcare. We pray that all children and youth may be able to go to school and participate in the activities that they love without fear of bullying or prejudice. We lift up LGBTQ families, couples, and individuals in their joy and in their pain. With each violent act of aggression against our LGBTQ siblings, we pledge anew to confront such evil in the places where we live and work and have influence. May we always appreciate the dignity of each person, straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. May we witness the extravagant artistry of each person, celebrate the divine imprint on each heart, and remember the love that created us all and unites us together. Just as Dr. King envisioned the beloved community, may we remember that we are beloved and share that reminder with others. We commit to working together to create a community where each person is known, loved, and celebrated in the fullness of their being. Spirit of liberation, be our shield and our defender, and hold us in the truth of our belovedness today and always. Amen.
Oh, thank you, Pastor Jill. That really helps to put us in the spirit of learning with love, which is one of our rally cries at PFLAG. Hello and welcome to all of you. My name is Jory Hume, and I believe I might have a slide if I can figure out how to do this. This one? Oh, maybe I'll have to. There we go. You know what? I have to. Hi, I'm Jory Hume, and I'm a PFLAG mom. So I learned about PFLAG when I was in the corporate America. I went at work. Basically, the LGBTQ, the Pride group at work, invited folks to come and learn what it meant to be an ally. And I thought, well, that makes sense because I'm not really sure. And that'll help me be a better coworker and maybe a better people manager if I ever manage a team of people. And what turned out is that within the next 10 years after that ally meeting, all 3 of my adult children came out to me. So I like to believe that I also became a better mother. And like all loving parents, I want the same thing for my kids. I want them to have a chance to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as their true selves, and based on the liberty and justice for all promise that we have here in this great country. The MLK Unity Fund Advisory Committee, I am so grateful to you. I've been to many of your educational sessions, and they are the most engaging and diverse and interesting educational sessions I've been to in DuPage County, at the very least at DuPage County, but you rank way up there in other counties too. I've learned a lot. You've helped me to be a better neighbor and to contribute more to your beloved community, to our beloved community. So thank you very much for all that you do. It's pretty cool that we're meeting at a historical museum because the LGBTQ+, otherwise known as the queer community, has been a part of our history as humans since the beginning of time. It's Indigenous Peoples Day, and we know by looking back at history from letters written by the Puritans who colonized this country that there were very visible LGBTQ+ role models in those societies. And now we're learning more and more about the history of the nations in Africa and how, before those countries were colonized, there were also very key roles in their societies from the LGBTQ+ community. So we go back a while. So I'm glad that we're here learning about history and admiring this beautiful, beautiful place. A little housekeeping. There are note cards on your table. The candy is for eating, I promise. Help yourself, though that's not trick candy, that's not stunt candy. The note cards are for questions, and there should be pens too. If everybody grab a note card, and if any questions surface for you during the speakers, write them down. We're going to have plenty of time in the second half of our program tonight where you can ask questions to both our speakers and to the representatives from the organizations who are downstairs. And if you're not comfortable asking a question that you have, or a question that you're bringing with you from someone else, or a question that maybe you heard that you thought might be helpful for others, leave your question cards on the table. We'll gather them up, and we're going to make sure to answer all your questions in an email confidentially for the whole group. Before we introduce our first speaker, oh boy, let's back it up here. I'm very excited about this tonight, I gotta tell you. But before I introduce our first speaker, I'm gonna go through some meeting guidelines. And it's not just for tonight, I assure you. Every month when PFLAG DuPage meets, we open our meetings with meeting guidelines. And everybody's coming from a different place and everybody's on a different journey, and so this kind of sets a level bar. So to make this meeting a more comfortable and secure space for everyone, what is said here stays here. Please silence all of your electronics. Listen generously. Hear what others are saying. Please don't interrupt, folks. This is a safe space. We ask that you use I statements and express your feelings, not your opinions, and share the air. Please be conscious of time. We know it's precious. Allow others to share if they would like to. And please, overall, demonstrate respect. We are all equal with different perspectives and different lenses. Thank you. And now, please welcome, I wish I had a drum roll, the president of PFLAG DuPage, our chapter president, Dan, because you can never have too many Dans, Hammer.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Can everybody hear me in the back? Excellent. If I can't, please, wave me down and let me know. First off, I just want to say welcome to everyone, and again, thank you to everybody that put this on, particularly to Jory, Dan, Regina, Jim, for making this happen, but especially to everybody here. I think about what Pastor Jill just said, and I have to admit that at the moment she asked us to think about what brings us hope, I kept my eyes open and looked at all of you, because it gives me hope, and I see the presence of God in a room full of people who show up and act out and do what's needed and speak up for people who maybe can't do it for themselves, who need help, and are here tonight to learn as well. So I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for being here with us. Again, my name is Dan. I am a proud parent of two wonderful human beings, my son, who is my oldest, and my youngest, my non-binary child. I am also, as Jory said, the new president of PFLAG DuPage, and I'm honored to just recently take that position on behalf of an amazing organization. Not just PFLAG as a whole, but specifically our DuPage chapter, which is a family, kind of a secondary family for me and my family now. I'll talk more about PFLAG in just a little bit, but first I did want to recognize that today is Indigenous Peoples Day. And that's especially important for what we need to talk about. This is a day to recognize the strength, resilience, and the immense contributions of Indigenous communities to our nation and to the world. We celebrate the rich history of the peoples who called this land home for thousands of years. In the most recent history, the people who lived and cared for this land specifically largely were the Potawatomi. But there have also been others such as the Miami, the Illinois, the Sauk, Fox, Kickapoo, and the Ho-Chunk people as well. This is also a day to recommit and to respecting Indigenous communities and their sovereignty and self-determination. It's an opportunity for us to learn about the true history of these cultures, listen to their voices, and to work toward building a more just and equitable future for all of them. We honor the ancestors who fought for survival, allowing their cultures and their traditions to carry on through immense challenges. We also honor the elders past and present who are the keepers of that wisdom and tradition. We have a lot to learn from the cultures of Indigenous peoples, as Jory just said, many of whom recognized and celebrated a diverse set of genders and sexualities. I'm really struck by the power of looking to our ancestors for wisdom and guidance. This weekend was the PFLAG National Convention right out in Rosemont. And we heard from a mom there who started the first ever Indigenous people PFLAG chapter. She struggled to accept her transgender children when they first came out to her, and then looked to PFLAG for support, which many people do. But she also learned about her tribe's past, and she looked to them to find the wisdom of their inclusion of people like her children, to find her path towards love for her children, just as they are. And I see a group of people here today who value that same exercise, the wisdom of your ancestors, the leaders who came before us, to inspire and inform our actions today. Martin Luther King Jr. and so many civil rights leaders have set us on a path towards justice, freedom, and inclusion for all people. These ancestors not only gifted us with the fruits of their labor and the wisdom of their words, but their greatest gift to us was the example that they set to change the world, not just for themselves, but for their children and for our children and generations to come. They show us that it's not only okay, but our call to action to build upon the foundation they created, to go the next step, and to inspire people all around us to be better than our past and to continue our collective journey. So that brings me to why we're here today. So Dan reached out to PFLAG a while back, I don't remember exactly when, and invited us to host this event here today. And because the MLK Fund Advisory Group wanted to learn more about the LGBTQ plus people and how to be more inclusive of their community and their work, we chose to be here with you today, in part because this is also LGBTQ plus History Month, and there are many ancestors in that community who have set us on the path same as MLK Jr. did. Specifically in PFLAG, we look to our founder, Gene Manford, for inspiration. Now, in 1972, Gene's son Morty, a gay activist, was beaten while distributing flyers. In response, she wrote a letter of protest to the New York Post that identified herself as the mother of a gay activist and complained of police inaction. She gave interviews on radio and television shows in several cities in weeks that followed, oftentimes accompanied by her husband and or her son. Then in June of that year, she participated with her son in the New York Pride March, carrying a hand-lettered sign, you can see a picture of it up there, that read, "Parents of gays unite in support of our children." These actions were unheard of at that time. Then parents just simply had never come out in public in support of their gay or lesbian children. The response that Jean and her husband received from other parents and LGBT people showed a large need for parents of LGBT children to learn how to give them support, and in a culture that basically said that their children were wrong, didn't belong, shouldn't exist. So they started an organization that is now today PFLAG. That organization, PFLAG today, is an organization of LGBTQ plus people. Notice the lengthier acronym. Parents, families, and allies who work together to create an equitable and inclusive world. We have hundreds of thousands of members in over 360 chapters coast to coast. Our motto is simple but powerful. It's leading with love. We support families, educate allies, and advocate for just, equitable, and inclusive legislation and policies at all levels of government. A great example of the power of the PFLAG way, something I just learned this week actually, is that Morty Manford's attacker went on to testify for gay rights more than a decade after he had attacked Morty. He even formed a cordial relationship with Morty and would get together regularly for coffee and pastries. We see that kind of transformation from hate to love and advocacy in PFLAG all the time. That's what we're all about. It's the power of getting to know people that are different from yourselves and witnessing their humanity, because that is truly transformative. So let's talk a little bit more about PFLAG specifically, and then we'll give you a little bit of information on just like where to get started if you have a loved one who is LGBTQ plus in your life. So PFLAG chapters vary a little bit here and there, and there's a lot of them in this area. But I'll just tell you a little bit about PFLAG DuPage. We get together once a month, and at our meetings, we basically get together and we have time for education, so we learn from each other, learn about issues and topics that are important to the LGBTQ plus community, to educate ourselves and improve our ability to be allies. We share events and news of the day, calls to action, things that are going on in our community or even nationally where we can participate and show up. We also provide community, a safe space for people to be themselves, to connect, either in a meaningful way for their journey or, again, to do maybe some advocacy work. But first and foremost, and what we do every single time we get together, we have sharing time. And that's how we support each other the most. Everybody tells their stories a little bit about what's happening in their life, what's going on with their journey, the challenges, the struggles, and yes, the things to celebrate as well. And we all share in that and we learn from one another. So why do people come to PFLAG? Well, it's a little bit of what I just said. They come to us seeking support most often than not because somebody in their life has come out to them. And they want to know, how do I best love this person now that I know something different about them that might conflict with what I knew before. They come to us maybe because they're fully affirming, or maybe not, and they want to do something, right? They know that the world is dangerous for LGBTQ plus people and they want to advocate, they want to take some action. They come to learn, and they also come for that community connection that I spoke of. So who are the people? Who are the people that come to PFLAG? Well, it started off mostly as an organization for parents, but today it's everybody. We get LGBTQIA plus people that come to us, again, looking for that safe space, that community. Sometimes they come to us because they're parents and they have children who have come out and they want to know how best to support them as well. They come to us because they want to, we get family members, of course, but that's not just parents, it's grandparents, it's aunts, it's uncles, nieces, nephews, whatever, brothers and sisters, as well as friends, teachers, you name it. Pretty much everybody. And we are there for everybody. So just a little bit of basics, and we do this kind of education all the time, if I can get this to you. There we go. Just a little bit about if somebody comes out to you in your family, or to you personally. It doesn't have to be a child or even a relative. It could be a friend of the family or what have you. So just going through the basics. Start first and foremost with our motto, lead with love, right? A hug goes a long, long way. Even if you're in a place where you just don't know what to say, you're afraid to say the wrong thing, or maybe this is something that's shocking you and you're just not in a place to be able to be that 100% affirming person, just do whatever you can to let them know that you love them. That's the number one thing. Start there. And to remember also that this may be difficult for you to hear, but it's probably a lot more difficult for them to tell you. Listen with intent. That means, kind of, to be blunt, shut up and get out of the way, right? Give them as many opportunities to tell their story as you can, okay? Give them space to open up to you. You can learn and figure out things as you go along, but the key is to keep that dialogue going. Show subtle support. Again, you may not necessarily be in a place where you can be all celebratory of this new information, but do what you can to show them, again, that you support who they are, that you love them no matter what. And, even if you're affirming, try not to be dismissive. I've met many people who, almost proudly say, oh yeah, when my kid told me about it, I was like, no big deal, I knew all along. Well, recognize that for that person, this is a big deal. It probably took them a long time and a lot of courage to build up and come out to tell you about this, okay? Because you have to remember that we live in a world where LGBTQ plus people are under attack. And so unless they know 100%, even for a family member, 100% that you will be affirming and supportive of them, there's a risk there, and they may not be willing to take it. So give them that respect and understand just how important this is. And then respect their language. Again, you may not understand it. You don't have to. You can learn as you go. You've got time. But respect how they choose to identify. Respect the language they choose to use for themselves. That will go a long way to showing how much you care about them. And then also, don't forget, you're a part of this process too, right? You need to support yourself, and it is a process. It takes time. Remember, first and foremost, you're not alone. Most people in this world know somebody who's LGBTQ+, whether they know it or not. There are hundreds of thousands of PFLAG members around the country. You are not alone. Don't forget your feelings are valid. It's okay, whatever those feelings are, and you're going to feel a lot of them all at once, some of them a little bit at a time. You may think, I'm great, I'm affirming, I'm perfect, and then 2 weeks later something triggers you and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I'm not so sure. It's okay. It's all normal. But the key is remembering that you're on a journey. It takes time, and give yourself that grace of time. Time to process, time to understand what your feelings are. Don't assume that you have to have it all figured out right off the bat. Also remember that you're important. You can't be that loving, caring caregiver to that person that you want to be if you're all stressed out and not quite sure why you feel the way you feel and all of that. Seek out support. That support could be something as serious as a counselor that you need to talk to. Maybe it's your pastor, your priest, somebody in the clergy that you respect. And maybe it's coming to PFLAG, which I highly recommend, of course. But seriously though, even if you do one of those others, come to PFLAG. It's a great place. Again, you'll be supported, you will not be alone, and you will hear loads of stories that will be much like yours, and you will find yourself feeling a weight lifted because you're able to share in a safe space and kind of process. I'm going to end that part there and then introduce Jim in just a second. But first, before I do that, I did want to mention we're going to have some great tables downstairs. These amazing people you'll see along the wall here, they're all folks from various different organizations that are represented downstairs. These are the LGBTQ+ community and ally community in this area. The movers and shakers, if you will. These are the people that get things done in various different ways to support the community directly, to advocate, to educate, to spread the word. Go downstairs, take some time, learn what their organizations are about, talk to them, meet them. I highly encourage that. And yes, PFLAG DuPage is represented downstairs as well. One of the things that we do in PFLAG DuPage is we have an allyship series. I've been the facilitator of it, although I'm looking for a few other folks to help out. But I have done this for a number of different organizations, and it's not too dissimilar than what you just heard me do. We go a lot deeper, we get some dialogue going. I point this out because if any of your organizations that you work with or associated with might benefit from some learning opportunities on how to be a better ally, I encourage you to reach out to me at president@pflagdupage.org. I have more information on the PFLAG table if you want, and I'd be happy to talk to you about opportunities like that. All right. With that, do we have any more slides? I forget. Yes. Okay. I think that's after this one. There we go. All right, so let me just make sure I get this right because I don't want to say anything wrong. I have the honor, of course, to introduce you to Jim Bennett, who Dan already spoke about. Jim is the director of the Illinois Department of Human Rights, a position he was appointed to by Governor Pritzker in 2019. And I'll just take a quick aside to point out, in case anybody didn't already know this, that our governor showed up at the PFLAG National Convention this weekend to speak as a keynote speaker to the group. And I want to point that out because it was actually a streamed event. It was on several platforms. People could watch it live. They can watch it now. And I was honored by the fact that he even showed up to do that, because that is a huge risk for any politician in today's world to do so publicly for an LGBTQ+ organization. So I thank him, and please pass that along from us. But anyway, so Jim is a civil rights advocate and has a long career focused on removing barriers to equity and protecting marginalized communities. Just a few highlights from Jim's career. Before he led the IDHR, he served as Midwest Regional Director for Lambda Legal, an organization dedicated to the civil rights of the LGBTQ+ community and individuals with HIV. He chaired the Illinois Unites for Marriage Coalition in 2013, playing a key role in the successful campaign for marriage equality in Illinois. In 2021, Governor Pritzker appointed him to chair the Illinois Commission on Discrimination and Hate Crimes. This involves bringing together the state's best problem solvers to investigate hate crimes and identify ways to prevent them in the future. His experience includes roles at Howard Brown Health, the Sargent Shiver National Center on Poverty Law, and the American Red Cross. Jim has been recognized with the Equality Illinois' Freedom Award and inducted into the City of Chicago's Gay and Lesbian Hall of Fame. He earned a Bachelor of Science from Illinois State University, go Redbirds, and an MBA from the University of Illinois at Springfield, Shine On Prairie Stars. I went to DePaul University, so I have no allegiances. I can do both. I am grateful to Director Bennett for all he's done on behalf of the LGBTQ+ community, our children, siblings, friends, neighbors, and coworkers. They all live with more dignity, equity, and safety today because of his leadership. But sadly, as he will shortly share, our loved ones are still under attack, navigating new threats to their rights and safety every single day. Please join me in welcoming Jim Bennett.
I like my 2016 picture. That's great. I should say that Governor Pritzker would not see that as a risk going to PFLAG. He is who he is. I mean, you see him probably more than most governors in most states. And the Department of Human Rights, we cover every protected class. We have one of the best human rights laws in the country. And then our job is we really serve as law enforcement. We do neutral investigation. So anyone that comes to us and feels that they've been discriminated for whatever reason, we conduct an investigation. We determine if there's substantial evidence, and then we have a Commission on Human Rights, which hopefully makes that situation whole. And this is a little more personal than I'm used to talking about. It's very obviously connected to my identity and who I am. But I'll answer any question, personal or professional, so I'll be around afterwards as well. Anything about Dan, I can go all the way back to high school. I thank you, Dan, for that really generous introduction. Thank you, PFLAG. PFLAG is just, I just think of it as love, like this group rooted in love. I came out 30 years ago today to my parents, and that was probably the scariest moment I'd experienced up to then, very much like you described. You decide that the pain of being closeted is even worse than the pain of potentially losing your family and friends. And PFLAG was the resource that I called in advance to be like, I'm gonna need brochures, I'm gonna need things, my parents are gonna want information. And then they're also a beacon of hope that I knew, like anyone who's been at the Pride Parade would know, that there's this section when you're going by PFLAG and they're hugging everyone and we're all crying, and it's ridiculous and beautiful, and I'm thankful for you so much. I'm honored to participate in anything connected to the DuPage County Martin Luther King Advisory Committee. Regina Brent, where is she? Just a powerhouse, and I pray for you every time I think of you with Dan. But you and Dan, I just think of you as this amazing team, that you have broadened what could be the very narrow focus of a great man. I think it's very easy to reduce Dr. King to a few phrases. And you've had the courage to gather and to learn and to speak and to stand in his full truth. I had forgotten that I went to your first meeting where you were choosing that book, and I came back and took it to my entire staff. And I'm like, we have to figure this out, because it was like a blueprint of how to move forward. And I learned that from all of you. And his understanding that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and that the same systems that diminish one group of people will always find another to oppress, could not be more true than it is today. And we remember him as this beloved person that everyone loved. He was so unpopular in his day because he would say the truths that no one was ready to hear. So it's extraordinary to be with all of you. Whether we speak of indigenous people stripped of their land and language, Black Americans denied humanity and freedom, or queer people, I'll also use 400 in acronyms because I can never do all the initials, so I'll say queer or gay or LGBTQ. People that are broken or seen as broken or sinful, the pattern is always the same. It's a pattern of treating others as less than, of denying dignity, of building hierarchies where someone has to belong and someone doesn't. I encourage us all to reject that pattern, together to reject that pattern. Our LGBTQ liberation movement did not begin in boardrooms or legislatures. We really began as a riot. We began in the streets, led by those who had the absolute least protection and the most to lose. The poster right over there of Marsha B. Johnson a black trans woman. It was on June 28th, 1969 at the Stonewall Inn in New York City. It is not a shock that it's in the shadow of the broader civil rights movement. And she stood at the front lines of resistance. She lived on the margins. She faced violence daily. They were used to going into this bar that was a seedy bar. And the police would just go there for fun and just harass people. And then, you know, the day Judy Garland died, our community was very upset. And the police came in then and tried to break it up, and that's when she threw a brick that ignited a movement. Alongside her was Sylvia Rivera, other trans women of color. Marcia fought not only for acceptance, but for the right to exist. Marcia said that no pride for some of us without liberation for all of us. She knew that freedom was not divisible, that we can't cherry pick whose dignity we protect. And as we see the trans community under such vicious attack right now, we have to remember, certainly my movement has to remember, that this is our roots. The trans community is the roots of our movement. The progress we see today in Illinois, the legal protections, the affirming care, the recognition of trans rights, it all stands on the shoulders of countless others who were beaten, killed, arrested, erased, but refused to disappear. There's a lot of times when we think like, or I think at least, I'm like, oh, thank God I live in Illinois, you know? And it's not a coincidence that these things happen. It's people that have worked for years and years and years to get Illinois where we're at. Our motto in Illinois, especially timely for now, is, I bet Dan would know it, because he was Mr. Illinois growing up, but state sovereignty, national union. That's our motto. It means that Illinois, while it's a self-governing state and is part of the United States and the national government, it also recognizes itself as Illinoisans. It reflects the balance between the state's independent authority and its commitment to the federal union as well. The founding motto has guided Illinois since being placed on our state seal in 1819, and to this day we embody those ethos, and it guides us especially today. Although we are seeing some states across the country ban books, criminalize healthcare, legislate fear, Illinois has built one of the strongest frameworks for human rights, including LGBTQ protections in America, which was added just in 2006, so not very long ago. In Illinois, all individuals in Illinois have the right to be free from discrimination, regardless of who you are or who you love. The Illinois Human Rights Act explicitly prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender identity in employment, housing, public accommodations, schools, healthcare, and credit. We're seeing changes at the federal level. We're getting guidance from HUD that they're no longer going to take any cases related to sexual orientation. I would argue something against federal law, but certainly against state law. Same at EEOC. We're not going to tolerate that in Illinois. In Illinois, these rights are protected and sacrosanct. In 2023, the Patient and Provider Protection Act was passed, protecting both providers and patients seeking care, shielding them from out-of-state interference, and ensuring insurance coverage. Illinois has become a refuge state for those fleeing persecution. When we were talking earlier, we're finding people coming to Illinois to escape other states where their laws are so hostile. It's hard to imagine this in the United States, but that's where we are today. In August of this year, our Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, co-led a lawsuit to block federal efforts restricting gender-affirming care, defending the rights of trans youth under Illinois law. Compare this to states like Florida, Tennessee, Texas, where lawmakers have banned gender-affirming care for minors, even to talk about it, restricted bathroom access, censored school curriculum, emboldened harassment in those states. Families are fleeing, doctors are leaving, young people are terrified and are at risk. We can be so proud of this state. And this is more, and it's more than just morally right thing to do, although it certainly is that. There's a practical reason why protecting people of all types make us all stronger. Queer adults in Illinois contribute over 21 billion annually to the state's economy through spending power alone. Businesses that embrace inclusive policies see higher employee retention, innovation, and profitability. Cities and states that protect rights attract talent, investment, and growth. The same is true for communities of color. BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, and people of color-owned businesses, cultural contributions, and labor build the foundation of Illinois' prosperity. When we exclude people, we lose their gifts. We just celebrated Disability Month, that's this month as well, and Illinois also is a leader in that. And what we realize is we're not just providing opportunities for people to join, it strengthens all of us. We're bringing their talents, their gifts, all of our talents and gifts into the mix. When we protect people, we thrive. Inclusion is not charity, it's smart policy. It's the recognition that every person, regardless of race, gender identity, sexual orientation, or ability, brings value that strengthens our community. And I know I've shared a lot, and I want to say that to truly see someone is to honor all of who they are. To love someone is to celebrate their full humanity, not just the parts that make you feel comfortable. And sometimes we're a bit uncomfortable with some of these issues. When we don't see people fully, we erase parts of their identity. We leave them vulnerable to real and physical danger. You think of some of the things that can be said really in support. I don't see color when you meet someone that's Black or brown. But to those people, someone who's Black and brown, that is their identity. That's part of their identity. You want that full richness. If you say you can support me, but not my lifestyle, that's denying. It's creating another person that doesn't exist. Like that. This is who I am, and so you can have those discussions back and forth of what that is, but it's important to recognize where people are at. When you add race or disability or immigration status to a queer identity, the risk multiplies. A Black trans woman faces dangers that a white gay man doesn't experience. A disabled queer youth would face barriers others may not encounter. We can't address LGBTQ liberation without addressing racism. They're linked. We cannot fight for disability rights without fighting for queer and trans inclusion. All our struggles are interconnected. And very honestly, those struggles are under siege. The Trump administration has rolled back federal protections. They banned trans service members that are wanting to fight for this country. Health programs have been eliminated. We've cut the LGBT support line from the nation's suicide hotline. It makes absolutely no sense, but that's some of the fights that we're seeing now. We're in a fight for our lives. And if we don't stand together across race, across identity, across our differences, we will lose, and I think we all lose. And I believe even in these politically divided times that we can find a unifying path. For me personally, my now husband and I found it in our shared experience through church. And I was going to tell you a little bit about our path. My spouse, Terry, and I, when we started dating and got more serious, we had to navigate each other's family. My family is easy to navigate. They're a little out of control. Like my parents gambled and they drank and they smoked. I was the first generation in my family on my mom's side to go to college. When I came out, my 100-year-old Aunt Nova was like, now you're gonna have to be a Republican because, or a Democrat. Now you're gonna have to be a Democrat because only Republicans go to college. We were encouraged not to go to college. It was the craziest thing in the world. And so when I met Terry and brought him home, one, it was shocking that someone brought someone mentally stable into the family. And second, Terry was a doctor. So it was like, all right, we can overlook everything. Like this is like, this is who we want. Getting into Terry's family is a little bit harder. Terry's family is a very deeply religious Calvinist family. They're Christian Reformed. They come from South Dakota. Everything is focused on God. In almost every sentence, it's hard to describe, but even like, you pray at McDonald's when food is passed, you thank God for everything that is passed. It's absolutely wild, but it's really so beautiful. They appreciate everything, and there's a beauty of believing that everything that happens, good or bad, is part of a plan, something I had never experienced before. And what gave us some leeway with his family is the fact that we met in church. It confused them. The fact that we had met and attended church provided this hook for them to at least try and understand us. My theory was that if they could, even though they didn't believe that the gay lifestyle was correct or appropriate, there was something about us trying to be Christian, of trying to reach this point that was something to stay engaged with us. So over the next couple years, we found our way forward with the family, except for a couple scary brothers-in-law, which, I will not mention now, but they're a good story for later if anyone wants. But there was enough harbors of support, and especially with his younger nephews and nieces who just know love and just see connection. Kids are sort of the most amazing people in that way, right? And of course it helped that I'm also just a joy to be around, as you can imagine. However, this acceptance got tested when we decided to do a service of Holy Union in 2000 at our church, not to be confused when we got civil unions and we were civilly united in 2012, or we actually got legally married in 2014. We had a lot of upgrades along our path. But Terry's family boycotted our service because his mother said that their church could not support it, and they risked going to hell by attending our service precisely because it was in a church. And I was sort of fine not to have them there. I was nervous about them meeting my family. I thought this wasn't going to go well no matter what. But it was incredibly important for Terry. And what's so amazing about Terry's family is they have this, you could call for a family meeting and you can vote on almost anything. And so Terry called this meeting, which in my family would just not occur. It's like something out of Brady Bunch. And the way it works is that everyone shows up with their family Bible, and you open it up, and then you go back and forth depending on what side you're on. I had Terry, his identical twin, and one 10-year-old younger brother, and then everyone else was on the Calvinist side. And you open up the Bible, you read a quote, and then you explain how that quote relates to your point. And I had my Bible, but it had rarely, if ever, been opened. It made that sound when you're opening a new book for the first time. And so his brother Daryl would start, and he would read these quotes from the Bible, and I'm like, there's nowhere we can go from there. I'm ready to go. And then Terry would come back, and he would be like, Daryl, if we just go 3 passages earlier in Leviticus or wherever it was, you'll find that this is really about an issue of charity and it's not about homosexuality. And we went back and forth like this forever. And there was this point where finally his father, who was extraordinarily quiet and reserved, grabbed the family Bible and closed it and just said, enough. It is not for us to decide what someone's personal relationship with Jesus Christ is. We're done. So that was the end of it. And it felt like a victory. Yeah, it really was. But ultimately, Terry's twin was the only one that came to the wedding, and we thought we had learned 2 things at that time. One was clear that you can never lose or win a fight when you're using the Bible as your source. You can find what you need to believe in that Bible. It can be both a book of liberation, and it can be something that can be used as a cudgel. And we also believed then that we would never be full members of that family. And we debated whether to walk away from the family, and for a short while we stopped attending family events, but ultimately we decided that there had to be a path to move beyond these painful occurrences, and it was talking. It was communication. And I wouldn't say it was always smooth sailing, but as time goes on, we each showed up to each other's graduations and weddings and funerals, and we kept the door open, and we found that we had so much more in common in the challenges of life than there were obstacles in our way. And then a while ago, Terry's father was ill and was going to pass and was in hospice. And it was really this beautiful time, one, because his family is so spiritual. So his father had a brain tumor, and every morning he woke up and he didn't remember why he was in the hospital, and you had to tell him again, you have an inoperable brain tumor and there's no way to operate on it. Every time he would say, I'm going to be with the Lord. And I would sit there and I would go home at night and I'd be like, Terry, one day he's going to wake up and he's going to be like, why are you not providing help? That never occurred. He was always there. And it was such a lesson to watch. And it was, the family brought everyone together. So it was us playing with kids and being with his in-laws and everyone that we could connect to in the family. And sort of the final moment of grace was his dad had called us in and told us that he had a confession, and his confession was that in fact their minister had encouraged them to come to our service and said that even though the church didn't agree with it, this was a chance to get to know your son and your sons in their world and experience what they're at. You don't have to agree with them, but just get to know them. And so he had asked us for our forgiveness, which he had had decades before. And he had told us by watching us, especially over those last few weeks, that he saw us as a family. And it meant everything to us. Right now, grace and understanding is what our world needs more than anything. The power of talking to each other, of keeping the door open to understand difference, is so vital in a world that is designed to reward conflict. We're pushed against each other, whether it's politics or social media or our friends or how we think someone's going to be at. We can breach those by asking why someone thinks something as opposed to telling them where you're at right off. LGBTQ young people in our lives, your children, your students, your neighbors, right now they don't have the luxury of time to wait for acceptance. Suicide rates are climbing, violence is rising, and we have laws that are being made to try to erase them. So where does that leave us? With all these threats and all this pain and all this work still to do, it leaves us exactly where every moment for justice and every movement in justice has always been. It's always at a crossroads. It never stops. We always have a choice to make, and as a people and as a state, we are at that crossroads right now. Laws have power and they can protect dignity. Faith can nurture souls and community can give strength. We can build bridges instead of walls. We can honor the deepest values of democracy and of our shared humanity, that every person deserves safety, belonging, and hope. So I ask you this LGBTQ History Month, learn the names of Marsha P. Johnson. She's wild and her story's amazing. Sylvia Rivera, right over there, Bayard Ruskin, I always say his name wrong. The architect, say it? Bayard. The architect of the movement, the architect of the march, the indigenous leaders, the civil rights pioneers, the people who came before us and paid the price for the freedoms we now defend. As hard as times seem, they're the best they've ever been for the LGBT community. The best we've ever had. The youngest generation is the most accepting we've ever experienced in this country. Speak up when you hear harmful language, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's family. And if you say the wrong thing, just apologize and move on, because we do it all the time. I'm always messing up pronouns, to be honest. And the best thing you can do is to apologize, be sincere, and go forward. Support organizations like PFLAG, support organizations like this extraordinary MLK committee that brings people together, that hears the tough things, that listens and moves on, and keeps doing the work on the ground. Support those who will protect our civil rights and not strip them away. Look for those leaders wherever they're at in both parties across the political spectrum, because we need to find connectors that bring us back together. And most importantly, see people, all of who they are. Look at their color and their identity and their full, complex, beautiful humanity. As Dr. King said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Let's never be silent. Let's stand together for dignity and justice for all. Let's stand for love until every single person in Illinois and in our nation knows without question that you belong, that you are seen, and that you are loved. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. That man brought me to tears, and now I have to actually speak? That's crazy. Jim, don't go too far. Where are you? Oh, good. I brought you a little gift. This is a thank you from PFLAG. So this is one of my favorite books of all time, and it's called The Happiness Advantage. And it's important for people who work in very serious human rights work, the stuff you are investigating, the people you're standing up for in the situations that are very dark and heavy. There's information in here about how to stay happy and how to keep a good attitude, which you sound like you're fine, but just in case times get tough. And there's some activities in there for you to do. Anyway, and then I also have some Malort candy, because I heard that sour candy is good when you have anxiety. So just in case you ever, and there's a Lucky Duck on top. So thank you so much.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that was amazing, and it was a great example of what this organization does to build bridges in this county. Come on, that is amazing. Thank you so much. There are also buttons on your table, and this one specifically kind of calls out what everybody's been talking about, that we're all in this together, folks. We are all in this together. You're welcome to take the buttons, eat the candy, do all that good stuff. There's plenty more food where the first pass came from. This second half of the program, I'll invite you to kind of think of those questions, and if you don't have questions, just introduce yourself to these amazing organizations downstairs who are now providing support. They're all DuPage County organizations who are providing support to the LGBTQ plus community in DuPage County. They're keeping families together. They're providing mental, emotional wellness. They are preventing suicide. They're doing really important stuff. So please get to know them and introduce yourself to them. Ask them your questions or leave your questions on the table. But I just want to thank you one more time. This was really, really wonderful. Thank you.